What if a child's toy became the center of a horrifying murder case? This is the tale of the Hello Kitty murder. Let's step back in time to the year 1999. Hong Kong, a bustling metropolis, was about to be shaken by a crime so grotesque it would forever be etched in its history. It was in this year that a gruesome discovery was made. A Hello Kitty doll, a symbol of innocence and childhood joy, was found stuffed with the decapitated head of a murder victim. This chilling revelation marked the beginning of one of the most horrifying murder cases the city had ever seen. The victim was a woman named Fan Man Yi. She was a nightclub hostess who had unfortunately found herself entangled in the dangerous world of drugs and crime. One night, a minor dispute over a debt spiraled out of control, leading to a series of events that would end in tragedy. The perpetrators of this horrifying crime were three men: Chan Man Lok, Leung Shing Cho, and Leung Wai Lun. All three were involved in organized crime and had a history of drug abuse. They kidnapped Fan, subjecting her to months of unimaginable torture in a cramped apartment, before finally her life was brutally snuffed out. The details of the case were nothing short of bone-chilling. Fan Man Yi was held captive for a month, enduring unspeakable horrors at the hands of her captors. She was beaten, starved, and tortured until her spirit was broken and her life was extinguished. The men, in a gruesome attempt to dispose of her body, dismembered it, boiling parts in a pot and discarding others. Yet it was the decapitated head, grotesquely stuffed into a Hello Kitty doll, that would give this horrifying case its chilling name. When the case came to trial, the details of the crime sent shockwaves through the courtroom and beyond. The three men were found guilty of manslaughter, as the prosecution could not conclusively prove that the men intended to kill Fan. They were sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 20 years. The Hello Kitty murder case was a stark contrast to the image of Hello Kitty, the cute and innocent character loved by millions around the world. This juxtaposition of innocence and evil shook Hong Kong to its core, and the case quickly gained international attention. It was a grim reminder of the monstrous side of humanity, capable of such cruelty and disregard for human life. Even today, more than 2 decades later, the Hello Kitty murder case still sends shivers down the spines of those who remember it. It's a haunting tale that serves as a grim reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink. It's a story of a life brutally taken, of justice sought, and of a city left in shock. The memory of Fan Man Yi, the victim of this gruesome act, lives on in the heart of Hong Kong. Her story is a stark reminder of the violence that can lurk in the shadows of even the most bustling cities. It's a tale that forces us to confront the darkest corners of human nature, and to remember that even in the face of such horror, we must never lose sight of our humanity. Imagine the unimaginable. A 16-year-old girl subjected to horrific torture. This is the tragic tale of Sylvia Likens. Let's journey back to Indianapolis, 1965, a time when the world was on the brink of change. Yet in the heart of the Midwest, a nightmare was unfolding that would shock the nation. The central figure in this harrowing tale was Sylvia Likens, a vibrant teenager with a heart full of dreams that were destined to be shattered. Sylvia and her sister Jenny were born into a carnival family, constantly on the move and living a life of uncertainty. When their parents decided to hit the road for work, they entrusted their daughters to the care of a local woman. This woman was Gertrude Banaszewski, a single mother struggling to make ends meet. Little did they know this decision would seal Sylvia's fate. Gertrude Banaszewski, a seemingly ordinary woman, harbored a darkness that would soon be unleashed on Sylvia. The initial days were uneventful, but as the weeks rolled on, the veneer of normalcy began to crack. Gertrude started to vent her frustrations on Sylvia, and this took a turn for the worse when the Likens' parents fell behind on payments. The abuse escalated from verbal taunts to physical violence. Sylvia was starved, beaten, and locked in the basement. Gertrude's children, infected by their mother's malice, joined in the torture. The hapless girl was subjected to unimaginable cruelty, her pleas for mercy falling on deaf ears. The community, shockingly, remained oblivious to Sylvia's plight. The few who suspected something was amiss chose to stay silent, a haunting testament to the bystander effect. In the end, it was too late. Sylvia's tortured body gave up, and she breathed her last in that wretched basement. When the police discovered Sylvia's body, it shocked the city of Indianapolis and beyond. The details of her ordeal were so gruesome that they were almost unbelievable. The trial that followed was equally riveting, exposing the chilling depths of Gertrude Baniszewski's depravity. Gertrude, her children, and a few neighborhood kids were all put on trial for their roles in Sylvia's torture and eventual death. The courtroom was filled with an air of disbelief and horror as the details of Sylvia's abuse were laid bare. Gertrude Baniszewski, the woman who was supposed to protect Sylvia, showed no remorse. She was dubbed the most evil woman in America, a title apt for her heinous actions. The trial culminated with Gertrude being sentenced to life in prison. Her children too faced their reckoning, receiving sentences of varying lengths. The case served as a stark reminder of the depths of human cruelty and the dire consequences of inaction. Sylvia Likens, a young life snuffed out too soon, her story a chilling testament to the depths of human cruelty. Her name serves as a haunting reminder of the grim reality of child abuse, a reality that still persists today. As we remember Sylvia, let us pledge to not turn a blind eye to the signs of abuse, for our silence could be the difference between life and death. A tale that shakes you to your core, the heartbreaking case of baby Brianna. Let's journey back to the year 2002, to a small town in New Mexico. A baby girl named Brianna was born into a world that should have been filled with love, care, and tenderness. But Brianna's world was far from it. Her life, a mere 5 months long, was filled with unimaginable horror and abuse at the hands of those who should have protected her, her parents and her uncle. Brianna was born into a family that instead of showering her with affection, subjected her to unthinkable acts of violence. This innocent soul was routinely abused physically and emotionally by the very people who were supposed to keep her safe. It's a tale that's difficult to tell, one that sends chills down the spine and leaves a lump in the throat. In July of that year, a lifeless Brianna was discovered. The tiny body, which should have been brimming with life, was now marred by bruises and fractures. The sight was so horrifying that it left even the most seasoned investigators in shock. The subsequent autopsy revealed that the abuse was not a one-time occurrence. The baby had been subjected to this monstrous treatment since her birth. The investigation that followed led to the arrest of Brianna's parents and uncle. The trial was a grim spectacle, unveiling the depths of the atrocity committed against Brianna. The details were enough to bring tears to the eyes of the toughest individuals in the courtroom. The defendants showed no remorse, their cold demeanor a chilling testament to their inhumanity. The public outrage following the trial was palpable. The community, the state, the entire nation was shaken to its core. How could such an unthinkable act occur? How could a defenseless baby be subjected to such horror? These were the questions that haunted everyone. The case of baby Brianna was not just a story of unimaginable cruelty, but also a stark wake-up call about the horrors of child abuse lurking in the shadows of society. But from this tragic tale, a glimmer of change emerged. The public outcry led to a significant shift in child abuse laws in New Mexico. The Baby Brianna Bill, named in her honor, was enacted. This law increased the penalties for child abuse, particularly in cases resulting in death. It was a step towards justice, a step towards ensuring that no child would have to endure what Brianna went through. The heartbreaking case of baby Brianna is a somber reminder of the evil that can lurk even in the most unexpected places. It's a reminder of the need for constant vigilance, for the protection of the most vulnerable. It's a call to every one of us to be the voice for those who can't speak, to be the shield for those who can't protect themselves. And while we remember the pain and the horror, we must also remember the change that came from it. The legacy of baby Brianna lives on in the law named after her, a law that strives to protect innocent lives from falling into the hands of abusers. Her life, though short, has left a lasting impact. It has sparked conversations, led to changes in law, and brought child abuse to the forefront of societal awareness. In the end, the tale of baby Brianna is one of heartbreaking tragedy, but also of profound change. It's a tale that shakes us, moves us, and prompts us to action. It's a stark reminder of the necessity for constant vigilance and protection for the most vulnerable. Baby Brianna's heartbreaking short life led to significant changes in child abuse laws. her tragic story a stark reminder of the necessity for constant vigilance and protection for the most vulnerable. Each of these stories is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the human heart. The Hello Kitty murder, the tragedy of Sylvia Likens, and the heartbreaking case of baby Brianna underline the need for vigilance and reform. In remembering these victims, we honor their memory and remind ourselves of the constant fight against such unspeakable horrors.